Still call the meeting to order at 6:30. Tonight's meeting is being streamed at sandwichtv.org and broadcast on Local 29. The meeting will be available on their YouTube channel and website tomorrow. Approval of prior meeting minutes. Those were sent yesterday at noon. Anybody have any questions, comments, or corrections?
I'll make a motion that the minutes get approved as submitted.
Okay. Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
So, one abstention. Okay. Public comment. Hi, Charlie.
Hello. Well enough, thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Okay. Ongoing business. A service road shared use path update. Sam?
You may be aware that work is nearing completion out there. The cooler temperatures for the winter season might cause some of the work elements to pause. There's still some landscaping to finish up, I believe. But some of the work may continue, including the last remaining utility work that needs to be done. There's still some poles that need to be have the wires transferred and poles removed, and pedestrian hydrant beacon needs to be powered up and activated. So some elements like that, I am told, would continue.
Okay. Great.
Is that's the one that's at Quaker Meeting House and
Yes.
City Service Road?
Yes, that's to aid in crossing the service of Quaker Meeting House Road.
So do they have any idea of like when that would be activated?
I haven't received a timetable on it.
Okay, thanks.
I still noticed the 8% grade sign on the service road.
Yeah,
I'm
there's
a little
some
confused.
sign details like that that
Okay.
need to be corrected.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, those aren't in the right location.
Okay.
Facing the wrong way.
It's just entirely in the wrong location.
yeah. Once. Yeah. I think they're supposed to be on the bike path, not the road. Yeah.
Correct.
One's facing the wrong way. Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? No? Let's talk about the current service road canal connection project. Do you have an update for that?
Work continues with VHB as far as design work goes. I see on the agenda you have a couple of items, update on the current, but then also application for another Mass Trails grant. And the status on that is our current Mass Trails grant agreement provides funding with through December 31st, 2026. So they gave us an extended time frame. So we're in discussions with VHB as to whether or not it makes sense to apply for another Mass Trails grant at this time now, when we have enough budget for at least the immediate future. Basically, if there isn't a need to apply for one this year, we'll forego it and plan for the following year. That's just something that's being worked out. As of right now, we're just continuing to work with the butters, and VHB is working on their design. I expect we'll have more for this committee to look at come the spring.
Okay. So can you just cycle back to that our current round is funded, did you say, through 2026?
The funding agreement allows for the funding to be spent through 2026. So provided an extended time frame on that.
Didn't realize that was the case, but that's good. Okay. Thank you. Anybody have questions on that?
Yeah, does that still include the part going under the bridge for the, where they work, is that like a separate project, or is that all part of the whole design of the, from Service Road to, the canal?
I like to think of it as one project,
Yeah.
but that segment of it is being handled directly by the state. As I understand, it's the same designer and design engineer. Steve Rhodes at VHB is directly involved with that segment as well. So there's continuity in the design.
So is there any time frame on that one as to when they look to start doing, even some preliminary work to, work underneath the bridge and change the lanes and all that?
I don't have details on that time frame, other than just what I've heard from Steve is that it's expected to follow a similar track to what we're doing on the town side.
Oh, I could just, as like, kind of like as an aside, I don't know if you're aware that, I guess it was probably Engrid or whatever was doing work there on Service Road Route 130. Caused a major headache for all of us that lived there because they stopped us from actually even using the road. What was very frustrating too is you'd come up Route 130 and they wouldn't let you take a left. They made you, said, okay, nope, you got to go around. We said, well, go around where? So they were making you actually do a U-turn right there on, Route 130. And of course, it disrupted our mail service because we didn't get mail for a number of days because they wouldn't let the vehicles, nobody go up that road. It would have been nice to have known ahead of time, and I don't know if that goes through, your department or whatever. But I mean, the thing is, especially where it's such a major roadway, there at exit 2, Route 130. And I think they were letting cars go down Service Road and there, but people couldn't go up, up Service Road, and that was I think 3 or 4 days. I mean, they were even doing it Saturday, So I mean, I'm glad they're all done with it. But like I said, it's just it would have been nice for some advance notice so that people would have known, because it was a very big inconvenience. Not being able to, actually, use Service Road for a number of days. But I mean, I know it wasn't part of this project, but it was just kind of like, so it's just like an aside, because I always thought that, they had to go through and get a permit from the town and all that there and do stuff, especially when they were working on Route 130, which is a state road, that they would need, permits and stuff and everything to work out there or whatever, and it didn't seem like they had any of that stuff.
When are you talking about?
What they did was,
When? I see.
it was this past week. They finally finished it Saturday, but Saturday they even had it, I guess Saturday morning, blocked off, for, a while, that you couldn't go up. And they were doing something with the vaults or something on either side. I think they, because there was some digging and but I mean, what they did also was put the guardrail around the corner, which we'll see how long that lasts there, because whenever they did the wooden one never lasted that long, I'm sure, and it's really close to the road. So, I mean, and, so cars going around there and everything, but I know they're protecting that vault or whatever that they put in along Service Road. But like I said, it's just, like I said, all of a sudden, we find out we can't use, Service Road. And, there was no, I mean, at least even when they did the work on Service Road for this project here, there were signs out there that said, going to be work on Service Road, signage or whatever, but they nothing on this one here. Like I said, it was an extreme inconvenience, and for other services, I mean, I said, no, we didn't get mail, but I mean, there's other deliveries, I'm sure, that couldn't go up that way either, so I'm sure it impacted a lot more than just the mail.
Guess I need to get out more. I had no idea.
Believe me, we found it right away.
Sure, I'm sure you did. Living right there. Okay, anything else about the connection between the Service Road and the canal? No? Let's talk crosswalks. So we have all ventured forth, I think, everybody here participated, to look at crosswalks and document crosswalks, as did I. We still have some gaps. I think I need to talk to some folks that aren't here. But it looks like everything that we all tried to do is all documented in here. Before I make my observations and questions, what do you guys have to talk about regarding crosswalks, if anything?
There were some that were on the list that did not exist.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And a couple places that really need them.
Yeah.
Along 6A, crossing Main Street and crossing Charles Street. So we have sidewalk that's continuing past those intersections, but no crosswalks.
Right, so that Charles Street one, I noticed you've marked it as no crosswalk being present, which I agree with, there's not.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you know, and you may not know, Sam, how that got on the original inventory.
I don't know.
There were a few that I noticed that you did that way, and I think there were others that some others did too, that where a crosswalk was labeled in the data, there was actually no crosswalk. I'm wondering if there was an intention to put a crosswalk?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Kai's Way and Mill, there's signs,
Yeah.
but there is no crosswalk.
Oh, that's even stranger.
And the sign, yeah, it was on it was on the list, but it wasn't on the map, highlighted on the map, but it was on our list. And the signs were right
If it's missing from the map,
at the crosswalk.
that'd be my error.
So they
personally.
weren't like, ahead of the crosswalk to kind of warn people. They were right at the crosswalk. Well,
Where it would be.
where it would be, where the crosswalk would be. Yeah.
Who did Torrey Road and Riverview? That was you? So I had a question for you, because it looked like there was an extra entry added
Yes, there's a crosswalk there that's not,
that wasn't in the list.
yeah, it's on Torrey Road.
Yep,
And
okay.
it looks like it might be a quote-unquote private one, meaning that it crosses Torrey Road, but it connects one of the Riverview buildings to the main campus.
Okay,
It does have signage, has crosswalk signage,
Yeah.
both sides. There's also school zone signage, but it's a yellow crosswalk, but it's very faded.
okay.
But
That's
there's a
probably why it
curb
doesn't
cut.
show up in the satellite photo.
Yeah, there is a curb cut there. And
Okay.
and all that.
I'll add that to the map then. Is it right at the end of the street, or is it?
It's a little bit up from the end of the street, so it's kind of connects the parking lots
Okay,
for those two buildings.
got it.
Kind of put the coordinates in for it.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. Appreciate that. And then there was another one too that looked like got added. Now I have to find it. Quaker Meeting House at Cobblestone Way. Was that you
It may have been me.
or? Because
Where's Cobblestone Way?
it's over by,
Right next to the power lines.
yeah, north of Kaya's Way, right by the power lines. There's that new development that goes back.
Right, yeah,
But
as far as I know, there was a crosswalk. There was lines on the road.
yeah, there's definitely one going across Cobblestone, but then there's one that actually on the map, which I hadn't put on the map, looks like it's closer to George Fernandez Way, just up the street there. And I was wondering if that's what.
And going across Quaker Meeting House?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to go look at it and see, but I think you're right. I think there is one there, and
It looked like you put some coordinates in, so
I did.
maybe I should just put the coordinates in the map and see.
yeah,
if
I did mention it. Didn't I mention it?
Yep, yep, you added it
All right.
to the
yeah.
end of the list.
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. What else?
There were a couple of odd crosswalks to nowhere.
Those are my favorite.
The one at crossing 130 at Dale Terrace.
Yep.
It goes
That's one.
right into somebody's hedge.
That's one. The other one's Chipman.
Shipment, yeah.
I found one today on, it's on Tupper Road. It's at the end of the sidewalk. And it crosses off into the dirt. So I documented it.
Well, Oak Ridge, there's that crosswalk that goes into the woods, but now we use it for hiking and mountain biking.
Right.
So it goes right to a trail.
So it's convenient now.
Yes, now it kind of works. Yeah.
Sean, I had the one that said Tom's Way at Katuitt Road, because there's the Katuitt Road of Piccadilly that goes across, but there's no, I don't know if it meant that there was supposed to be a crosswalk like along Tom's Way at Katuitt Road where the sidewalk is, because I had some of those.
Yep.
But there was no crosswalk there per se.
Okay.
I think it was listed as number 50.
Yep. Let me go up to that on my computer here.
The only one I could find is like we went down Tom's Way, and then back in the development itself, which would be kind of like there was a crosswalk there that was from the buildings that went to the back of like where Two Brothers is and Hometown Juice. So there's like a roadway that stops right there, or it's part of the parking area. So that wasn't on the list. So so that's where it was like a little confusing. I didn't know which
Sure.
one.
No, I kept out the ones that I saw from satellite views. Like there's a bunch at Merchant Square, and like so anything that was in a private plaza, I didn't put in there.
Because I figured that's what. Well, we'll see. But Tom's Way, I didn't know if that's.
I don't know either.
That's a a private road or a public road or whatever, because there are all those roads that go in the back, that then go into where the movie theater is and all that.
So you're saying Tom's Way at Katuitt Road, actually there was no
Tom's
crosswalk there?
at Katuitt number 50, like I said, because I had already gotten the Katuitt Road at Piccadilly, and that's the one that goes straight across Katuitt over to Piccadilly, but there's no other one on Tom's Way, other than the one further back in.
I see. Okay. I'll check that out. Nope, I didn't mean to do that. Where's my, we're just gonna bold it. What else?
The only thing, I mentioned it on the list that I gave, but maybe along Quaker Meeting House, each time the path crosses a side street, I mean, would it be wise to put a small stop sign? Because if kids are riding their bikes, and I know we have those on the on the regular bike path, multi-use bike paths when they cross main roads.
So you're talking about a stop sign for the users of the path?
For the users, yes, for the path, yes. And it could be on the inside.
Yep.
On both sides, and small signs, maybe non-reflective, so that at night that people don't mistake it for a stop sign, but driving by.
So I would kick that to you, Sam, because I know there's a peculiarity about Quaker Meeting House and that not being an official shared use path under the.
Right, technically it's wide sidewalk.
It's the sidewalk. Yeah.
What I would suggest.
Bikes are allowed on it? Is that right?
Bicycles are not prohibited from sidewalks in residential areas, as I understand it. So there may be a state law provision prohibiting bicycles from sidewalks in business districts. That's
come
I
up.
say maybe.
So that's
because
like Katuitt Road.
That's come up here before, yeah.
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 But in the case of Quaker Meeting House in that area, they're not prohibited, as I understand it.
So that's technically it's a sidewalk.
If we're going to consider a stop sign, though, for the town to do it, it would have to comply with the manual uniform traffic control devices. Otherwise, we open a liability issue.
Yeah.
So my suggestion would be take all the input and the questions and suggestions and all that, and provide a summary, and we can digest that back.
I agree with that suggestion. I think that's our end game here. But I did want to ask a couple more questions before we get away from that. But before I do, I don't want to monopolize the discussion. So I like all this feedback you guys are giving.
I just realized too, I do have a couple more that I need to add to the list.
Okay.
That I found. And a few of them are actually probably brand new, so that's why they're not on the list. But there are a few of them along the service road
Yes.
that are
Yep.
connecting the ends of the roads to the.
I was going to ask that question, whether those had been added to this list yet. I hadn't examined it closely.
I realized as I was going through my notes that I didn't add some of those other ones that I
Okay.
found, so I have the notes on them.
Yeah, just put them at the bottom and then I'll add them to the map.
I
Too.
didn't do any measuring of width, but I can go back and do that if you need that information in there.
I think it would be helpful, especially for whatever recommendations we come up with. And that's one of my questions to you. There's a wide variety of widths, sometimes even in the same crosswalk. A lot that I observed in the Merchant Square / Marina area. They might be 7 feet on one side and 7.5 feet on the other side. And I found that quite a bit, actually. What is the standard, or is there a standard?
There's a minimum width requirement, which currently is, if I recall correctly, maybe 6 feet from inside edge to inside edge. So we want to make sure that any new crosswalk or restriping that we do is compliant with that.
Right.
In the case of a deviation of about a half a foot, like you say, that may be the striping company and how it's laid out. It's a possibility. Without actually looking at it, I can't say for certain. If it presents a point of confusion for the users, then I would be concerned about it. But if it doesn't, then it may not be something we have to.
It's not
address.
obvious to the naked eye. I wouldn't have known it unless I had a measuring tape out there.
Yeah. And perhaps it had something to do with field conditions that were out there. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
But if there's a width issue like that, that seems like it might create confusion, please note it.
Yeah. I think, to me, the most striking thing that I hope we can, as we make recommendations coming out of this exercise, was signage and the inconsistency of signage. And I think I wanted to focus specifically on not crosswalks. Maybe there's terms for this that I need to learn, but a crosswalk that you come to an intersection, say you're coming from Treehouse and wherever, Pilot House, to the end of Town Neck Road, and you're deciding whether to turn on Tupper Road. There's a crosswalk there, so like at the end of a street. It doesn't always seem appropriate that there be signage for those crosswalks. But a crosswalk that crosses Tupper Road in a couple of places, like Cape Cod 5 driveway, or now the off-the-grid driveway, although it was really just connecting to the sidewalk on the other side, where there's going to be traffic passing the crosswalk both ways, that there ought to be some kind of signage that warns folks that there's a crosswalk there. And the implementation of that in different places is different. The one, I think it's at Cape Cod 5, the signs are right at the crosswalk. There are others where it's 100 feet or more from the crosswalk. And I'm wondering if we should focus on some uniformity of conditions for those types of crosswalks. And is there a term for that kind of crosswalk? Is it like a mid-crossing or something like that?
Yeah, a mid-block crosswalk is the way that we typically refer to those. I can tell you that as far as Tupper Road goes, it has to do with the history of the installation of those sidewalks. Some of them may have been installed by developers as part of the construction of those facilities, and their contractors may have had different understandings, or there may have been different codes at the time. And so that might account for some of the variability that you see out there.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily concerned of how we got there. I just want to, if we make a recommendation as to what should be prioritized, I would think that's a great place to start. Because that also encompasses some of the Katuitt Road crosswalks that have been talked about in our meetings and other meetings. To focus on mid-block crossings, I think, is where maybe the most danger exists, or certainly the most perilous crossings are. Although I will say, by the way, standing in a crosswalk in my orange mountain biking jacket,
I saw you there.
I had a lot of people stop for me. And maybe it was the jacket. It sticks out quite a bit.
I had an orange vest on when I did
Yeah.
mine.
But I was surprised at the number of people that stopped, even when I wasn't like looking to cross. I was actually putting notes in my phone. So that was a pleasant surprise. There was a couple people that actually blew by me as I was trying to cross, and they waved an apology to me, which was nice too. But they didn't stop. But anyway, that's just a bit of a tangent. So as I'm looking through, obviously, my own observations and the observations you guys have made, I agree that we should come up with some kind of prioritization and recommendations. That's the one that stands out to me the most as far as addressing advance warning to motorists that there is a mid-block crossing. I think that would be a great place for us to start, unless people have other suggestions. And then obviously addressing perhaps the design of the crosswalks themselves. There's a lot of curb cut observations in here. There's a lot of differences in execution on the stripings. All things I think should get addressed, but I think to me the most important thing is the signage for those mid-block crossings.
All the sites need to lock. Visible keys into start condition. The side. That's where the drivers, the start condition.
It may become one. So
All right, yes.
A high priority for me, I mean, some of it is personal, but where we have sidewalks along 6A that continue across a fairly busy intersection, I think that needs to have crosswalk and signage. Because the angles of the traffic too are hard. They're coming in at different angles. So as a pedestrian or a cyclist, it's hard to judge when it's safe. What directions.
Main Street one?
Main Street and Charles Street.
Yeah, people are, especially the Main Street one, drivers are confused by that usually, you can tell. And they are not looking for people with
Yeah.
cars.
okay, I think that's a great idea. Anything else from anybody? So I think we still have gaps to fill, still data to fill in, and I think that should be our focus between now and the next meeting. And then we can prepare some of our thoughts on recommendations for next meeting too, if you could be thinking about that.
Do you have a listing of, because I thought I got all the ones that I was supposed to. They weren't all, in the, like you had the grouping and in the sections.
Yep.
Like some of the ones I had to go, I think I did from the
Yeah, there's some.
49s to the 55, then it was like 94, 120, 121, 122,
Yeah.
123. I try to pull out the ones that I thought that I was supposed to do within the circled area.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's any that I missed, just let me know.
I will. I'll send you a note. It looked like most of yours were good. Like you said, you missed doing the measurements. So if you could do that, that'd be great. And then it looked like stuff on 130 still needs to be done.
That's mine.
Okay. Okay.
They still need to be
Great. That was the biggest gap. The rest was like some service road stuff that you were saying too. There's a couple of the Madison Drive ones were blank, but I think if you are capturing the new ones, if those could be captured as well.
Go through my notes, maybe I did get those.
Okay. But it was a great start. I mean, I would say that we did probably 75% of it. Okay. Moving on from that, Sam, just because you and I had the conversation at the Vision Zero meeting, do you want to talk, and I think maybe we've talked about it at a previous meeting, but just all the recent grant activity around crossings?
Sure, yeah. So we have an active grant, the Vulnerable Road Users at Transit Stop program that is through MassDOT. The county is helping with that one, and that's looking at the 3 locations on Catuit Road. So Rectangle Way at Piccadilly, and then at Regent's Gate. So we're looking at crossing improvements there. We put an application in through the MassDOT free RRFB. That's Rectangular Rapid Flashing Beacon program for the locations that qualified. There's a MassDOT put out forth a set of criteria, and we went through our list of intersections and identified the Water Street at the Cook Farm and Wing School as being a prime candidate for that program, and then a location at Oakcrest Cove crossing Quaker Meeting House Road, and then 2 at Snake Pond Beach. There's at either end of the beach there. So we're still waiting to hear back on that as to whether or not any of those would be funded. And then we are currently looking at the Shared Streets and Spaces program and evaluating options, how to best make use of that program at this time. One of our main priorities right now that we've mostly wrapped up at Route 130 and Quaker Meeting House Road and made the pedestrian improvements there, we're now looking at Quaker and Catuit Road and improving all the pedestrian crossings there, and then possibly extending sidewalk as well. So that's a project that's currently under design, but construction funding is still being pieced together. And so we're looking at all available sources. That's a possibility. We also have some other locations that we're considering now. That grant application deadline is, I believe, January 13th. So we need to make a decision on that soon.
Okay. When you say extend the sidewalk, do you mean extend it down past?
To the south toward Farmersville Road. We'll see how the budgets actually work and what it can accommodate.
Who's doing the design on that?
That's Stantec, the same company that did Route 130 and Quaker Meeting House Road.
Who we've had in for presentations.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. The engineers they've had some different engineers involved, but Peter Vasilio has been the guy that's really helped us get through construction. He's been fantastic, and he's looks like he's going to be heading up this one as well.
Questions on that? Any of that?
Well, actually, yeah, kind of going back to like the design of the, path coming up from the canal, and then the potential lane that's going underneath the bridge there. That's going all the way up to Service Road?
Yes, the state is heading up the design from Service Road to Shawm Road, where the state layout ends. So the state is picking up the entirety of the sections within state layout.
So, but when it gets to Service Road, where do pedestrians and bikers then go up Service Road? They staying on if you're heading up the road on the left-hand side, or are they supposed to cross? So,
I haven't seen the design, but I expect that it will, for that segment there, it is looking likely that it'll be on the east side, the DPW side, at least getting under Route 6.
And eventually, I mean, the entirety of the project would connect it to the parking lot. That's now the terminus of the shared use path.
So would they be then going back, like, kind of like behind where the vault is or whatever? You know, I mean, because the thing is, there's gonna be a lot going on there. I mean, all of a sudden you bring the vehicles or pedestrians even up to that intersection. There's already a lot going on there now. As a matter of fact, I hate even taking a left, trying to go, out there because the traffic's been getting so bad. Used to be before just in the summertime. Now it doesn't matter almost like what time of year it is. Now you introduce more, bikers or pedestrians or whatever in there. I mean, there's no crosswalks, no lights, no nothing, to direct, where people need to, be or whatever.
I think we need to see a design. I think Sam said we haven't seen a design yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just want to make sure that kind of gets, brought into the conversation, because like I said, there's a lot. I mean, even if you're coming down and taking a right, then that means what, everybody's going to be, coming into that point, inflection point right there. And, there needs to be some sort of, thought and design or whatever to go into where, because you get the gas vault up there that's up on the hill, so I know you can't really do much, there, because it's, so I mean, the thing is like, and then you got a steep hill on the other side. So I mean, I'm hoping that they're looking at that, not just bringing everything, stopping it there, then, okay, here we're done, we got the service road, now what do we do?
All good questions, and I think just hold on to them and just wait and let's see the concept that comes out.
Yeah, I mean, that's because, like I said, I mean, like to make sure that they kind of, are including that in the conversation, because then the worst part is like going, okay, they got designed, everything's done, and they go, oh, we're here, but, and then they just stop it, because we've seen that before too, where, they don't, look at what the issues are, so hopefully that's being addressed at the same time, with all this other stuff that's going on. Because like I said, it's already a dangerous intersection there, right there at Service Road and 130, with the amount of traffic, and then bringing everybody else into there, walkers and bikers and whatever. This is gonna be, that much more crazy that's going on there.
Anything else on crosswalks? Okay. Can we touch briefly on bike racks? Could you, Sam, I'm sorry to keep putting you on the spot, but can you give an update on the schools and the Center for Active Living?
Yeah, so we had looked at the existing bike racks at Oak Ridge School, and they're embedded in concrete, and they have some deterioration on them. With some maintenance, I think they could still continue to serve the purpose there at Oak Ridge, but I don't think that they're really good candidates to be relocated somewhere else. So met with Guy Boucher and Tricia McDonald of Rec, and they're in favor of and Susan Morancic and the Center for Active Living, and they're in favor of putting new racks in there, and it appears that there may be a funding source, so they're going to pursue ordering the racks, and we should be able to work with DPW to have them installed when they come in.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on that? That does it for the old business portion of the agenda. Did anybody have any new business to bring up?
I don't know if you've heard that NEMBA and the school met Oak Ridge, and they
Did not
approved.
hear that they had met.
Yes, so they approved unanimously a pump track on
Nice.
the Oak Ridge property. So now we just have to figure out how we're going to build it. So we're looking for somebody who's designed a pump track in the past. So yeah. But
That's great. That's been a long pursuit.
yes, yes.
Do you have anything else? No? Let's talk about our next meeting very briefly. We ordinarily would be meeting the third Monday of the month, but in January, that is the Martin Luther King holiday. So I'm proposing perhaps we meet the fourth Monday that week, provided we have a facility to meet in, which I'll have to double check on with your help. But does anybody have any issue with meeting on the 27th? All right, so we'll aim for that.
I'll be away that day, but I can help to
Okay,
facility.
thank you. Just make note of that. Ideally, it will be here, but hopefully there's no conflicts. If there are, we'll figure something out. And with that,
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a happy new year.
You too.